All right, guys, welcome back to the Uncle Wristlock podcast. This is my first guest on the Jiu-Jitsu podcast, Zach Tidwell. He is a Marine Corps veteran, an amazing story. He's a podcaster, software developer. He is a suicide attempt survivor. And Zach's got an amazing story. I had a chance to interview him on the Courage Coaching and Counseling podcast. So check that out. We go into detail about his military career and his recovery from that situation. We talk about mental health and sobriety, and a big part of his life now is being very active. So he's a snowboarder. He does kayaking. I'm sure rock climbing, but he also does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, something that we have in common and something that we love to do. So welcome to the podcast, Zach.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. So Zach, you mentioned on the other podcast that you were a wrestler in high school. So you were a grappler. How was your wrestling career? How did you get into wrestling?
I absolutely wish I would have started earlier in life, but I don't think I was man enough to throw on the singlet until junior year. I said, fuck it, junior year, and I did it. So I definitely, I had some ground to make up there because didn't start until my last 2 years of high school, but I found my niche was wrestling two weight classes up because
Okay.
I would get tossed around in the beginning, but I was a runner, so I ran cross country and track, and my cardio would usually, if I could survive those first 2 minutes, I'd start slowly creeping back, and that seemed to be my thing.
Get some points, come from behind when your opponents are gassed out.
Yeah, and they just be exhausted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, that didn't always work, and sometimes I just got tossed around the entire match. Or, I only got to wrestle for like a year and a half because I got hurt senior year. I had a single leg on me, and I had a whizzer in, and was kind of hopping around on one leg there. So he stepped through to trip me, and I don't know if my shoe just got stuck to the mat or what, but basically, like my ankle went forward as my body went back. So basically like the arch of my foot like crunched and it tore the spring ligament through my foot and I like the bones crunched together and stuff. So it actually delayed me being able to go into the Marines. I was supposed to go in like immediately after I graduated and I ended up having to wait a couple months. But
Yeah.
yeah.
What was it still sore during boot camp? You had to run on it.
Yeah, it was pretty jacked for probably like 2 years after. I was in a boot for 6 months. I didn't have to have surgery, but I just had this floppy ankle where like every once in a while it would give out and I just crank it again.
Yeah, right. Nagging injury. But so when you were in the Marines, did you do combatives? Did you do more MMA like jujitsu?
No, I mean the Marine Corps has it's called McMap. So the Marine Corps actually has like a belt system that you wear on your cami. So you go from I think it's like your tan belt to your gray belt to your green to your brown to your black. It's the Marine Corps martial arts program, and it's kind of I get it. It's kind of helpful, but it's supposed to be centered around like fighting in a plate carrier, and it's kind of a joke. Like teaching jujitsu would have been better, but
My misunderstanding. I thought they were like doing Gracie jujitsu. I thought the Gracies were coming in and like teaching people to do jujitsu.
no, I wish, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But so
Because
yeah,
I've seen some soldiers like collar choking people in the camo.
yeah, I mean, we might have gotten taught collar jokes. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
Honestly, most of the time when we did it, it was more of like a green light for us to get our asses beat by our seniors. Like
yeah.
there's a
They're doing Krav Maga. They're doing like just no holds barred stuff on you.
I mean, and it was
Uh,
just like they know what they're doing and we don't. So they would, they'd be like, "Hey, you guys are doing 100 burpees while we're fucking up this guy," and then they have you come in and it's like, okay, you have a minute with one senior, he's fresh, you just did 100 burpees, and as the minute is up, someone else is jumping in, so like now they've got your back all of a sudden, and it just getting your ass beat by these guys. So I didn't learn, I didn't have the same progression like I do going to jujitsu classes, but there was some of that stuff.
yeah, just sounds like old school training, right? The mindset, like it's more for the psychology of fighting than like
Oh
technical
yeah.
ability or skill.
Yeah, it
Just learn
sucked.
how
It
to
was
fight.
miserable. And well, and I had the bad habit from wrestling. Like I I would give up my back. I would belly out of things and then just get strangled or just get the side of my head pounded in while I'm bellying down. Like it was, yeah, it wasn't good.
Right, right. So how did you get into jujitsu?
It was actually something that I wanted to try while I was in the Marines, but we were gone too much and I couldn't have afforded it, even if we weren't. So I, gosh, I'm trying to think. After I lost my sight and got back into college, I was living in downtown Denver. I was living by myself and like I would walk to my college campus and I felt like at some point I was going to get mugged. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try jujitsu now. And
Hmm.
it took a while to find a gym that would actually email a blind guy back about coming in to train. But once I found a gym, it was kind of all over.
Yeah. What gym?
Dark Horse Combat Club in Denver. They have two locations. There's one in Longmont, Colorado, and one in Denver. And so that was my gym.
Amazing. So you were completely blind. It's January when we're filming this. Lots of people, hopefully, New Year's resolution, they're going to start jujitsu. So what was that like starting jujitsu? You had a wrestling background, but you were also uh, blind. What was that like getting on the mats again?
It's helped me because I know how to use my body weight and I'm a huge pressure passer. So like absolutely. I think the wrestling has served me very, very well.
Yes, wrestlers
Um,
are a pain with the press.
So I honestly though, it's it's weird. For the longest time, like people like grips would piss me off, and now I'm having to force myself to do no gi because it's so slick. Just because you get spats on a rash guard and stuff, and everything is so slippery. But so I've gone kind of back and forth, but I would say the gi is a little easier for me because it does slow things down a little bit, and because I can't see what I'm grabbing for on someone when I can just hit material and grab on, it does help me a little bit versus Noki.
When you started as a white belt, you were taking the gi classes.
Yeah, primarily. I honestly I have avoided Nogi like the plague until about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. And so, what advice do you have, Zach, for a wrestler transitioning to jujitsu?
Get comfortable being on your back.
Uh-huh.
That's absolutely, I mean, you'll learn pretty quick that you're going to spend a lot of time on your back. Yeah, that's got to be the big one. And stop thinking that everyone else is going to wrestle when you're standing up. You're going to get all these nerds that try and pull guard. No one else is going to want to wrestle with you. And it is so frustrating. It bothers me. It
Okay.
bothers me in tournaments that like no one actually wrestles and everyone just sits. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're no guard puller.
No, yeah, I'm averse to it. It is, I don't know why it is such a pet peeve for me, but yeah.
Well, staying on your feet, dominating a position, and getting the takedown is like hardwired into you. Like even though you started your junior year, you're a wrestler to start with.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm by no means was I like some stud in wrestling, but I have a gnarly double leg, and if you don't stand up, I can't hit you with that double leg, and it frustrates me. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The so how have the people at your gym like what's that been like? Training with folks with that with sight and how have they treated you?
I mean, I haven't had any bad experiences. Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing during class, I'm the uke. Like they're showing all the techniques on me, so I'm feeling it while everyone else is watching, and so it
Uh,
doesn't slow anything down because I'm not having to be then shown on the side what the techniques are. I'm learning at the same pace as everyone else. And we figured that out pretty early on because in the beginning, and I've had some instructors that are just teach the occasional class that are like, no, I need to show this on someone else and I'll show you after. But then I end up missing half the class because I'm just getting shown 2 minutes after everyone else already got shown. So yeah, so that works really well. And then I don't know. I got to go down and train at B team a couple weeks ago. I went down to Austin to visit some friends and
cool.
I could not follow what the hell they were teaching there. I'm sure it would have been different had I been someone who's actually a regular there. They probably, if Nikki Rod's teaching, you might be like, hey, I'm going to drill on you before class and we'll go through this so that you can be the Uki. But as just a visitor, understandably, they're like, yeah, we're going to do our thing. And I couldn't tell. Like, I I think another thing with my instructors is they've gotten used to being very intentional. Instead of saying, yeah, so you put your leg here, they say, I'm going to put my right leg by his left hip and things like that. And
Mhm,
I couldn't tell what the hell was going on at B team, but it was cool being down there. I just got manhandled for the couple days that I was there, but it was really cool.
mhm. Nice. Yeah, I'd love to visit. Those guys are hilarious and also good instructors. Ryan's uh, instructionals when he hops on their YouTube.
Yeah, I got to get manhandled by him. So that was, yeah, it was cool. It was
Yeah.
really
Well,
cool.
hopefully we'll see you on some of their highlights, Zach,
Yeah,
down the road.
everyone just fucking up a blind guy.
So you started at Dark Horse Combat Club, and you're competing. Tell me what competing is like for you.
Yeah, I think I've done 4 tournaments now, and I'm coming up on 4 years of training. So it's not like it's something that I regularly do, and especially it was like we talked on your other podcast that I've struggled with alcoholism, and during the worst of my alcoholism, I would go on benders for 2 or 3 days and just be totally blacked out, be hungover for 2 or 3 days, and then do it all over again. So my training really lacked, and I really kind of fell behind as a blue belt. And so I've only done, I think I told you, it's been about a year since my last tournament. And I've been sober for a year now, but it's in that time I've been like trying to be very diligent about closing in a lot of these holes that developed in my game. So competing is the only thing that's different is that we start with grips. So in the gi, and I haven't competed against anyone else with disabilities yet. So this is because I'm blind. We both start with a sleeve and collar if it's gi, and we start in a wrestler's tie if it's no gi. But other than that, it's game on unless the person is intentionally trying to disconnect and like go around me because I can't see them. The ref would reconnect us. I think because I've been an athlete my whole life and because I know how people move, I'm able to actually I do a pretty good job being able to track people even in scrambles. I've been very surprised by that, but it's not such a big disadvantage, especially once we're on the ground. Like I said, I'm a huge pressure passer. The more space I can eliminate between us, the better off I am. And I still have a hard time passing people's guards if I'm standing and they're down. I prefer to just come into their closed guard and just pass that way as opposed to trying to do anything fancy.
Yeah, yeah. Roy Harris, an instructor down in San Diego, he encourages people to train with their eyes closed to just develop that sensitivity and just improve. And so it's a reminder to me to do that more. I like to pressure pass just because I'm old and slow. So definitely appreciate the all forms of smash pass and the pressure.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so you you got sober about a year and a half ago. Um, one of the common things online, in the Facebook groups and like men's groups on Facebook that I'm a part of, when people struggle with alcoholism or mental health, um, or confidence, they usually say, "Oh, just train jujitsu." Like that's going to be like the magic wand to solve their their issues. I'm sure it helped you, but it wasn't everything for getting like emotionally healthy for getting sober. Uh, um, can you say a little bit more about that, like the connection with training and emotional health?
Yeah, I think people who say shit like that are naive and they haven't been through something that severe or yeah, I would say that they can't put themselves in that person's shoes. Jiu-jitsu is absolutely not how I got sober. Do you want me to go into some of the stuff that we talked about on your other podcast?
Yeah. Go ahead and share. Look, but look, it wasn't the thing that helped you get healthy, but yeah,
Correct.
go ahead and say uh, what was was it um it's if the rest of your life falls apart, then you don't get to train jujitsu, right? So
Yeah, and
it'll
jujitsu's not gonna. fix you being a drunk piece of shit. I've showed up to jujitsu classes drunk before. And even when I lived in downtown Denver and was walking, it was like a 15 or 20-minute walk to my gym. I've walked through the city, blackout drunk and completely blind, and somehow didn't get hit by a car. Like, obviously jujitsu was not the answer there. I had other things that I needed to fix. And for me, that was therapy. And, being physically active is a very big part of my life, but therapy was a lot of that, but also I had drank away my ability to cope with stress, really. Like that became my stress tolerance was I'm gonna drink so the stress goes away. And that takes a lot more than just going and getting strangled for an hour every day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You love it though. You're one of the blue belts that didn't quit.
Yeah, I do love it. I don't know. I mean, I've got three stripes, so it's not like I'm creeping on the door of being a purple belt, but I feel like I have a lot of improvement that I need to do before I'm worthy of a purple belt. So that's my main concern right now. But yeah.
This year, what parts of your game are you going to focus on to improve and work towards that purple?
On I've just in the past couple months I've started really focusing on the leg game. There's one guy at our gym that teaches every Friday, teaches a leg class, and that's all it is. That's made huge strides in my game, not necessarily in terms of winning leg entanglements against people who are good at them already, but I can at least survive them or against people who aren't hitting those classes. I'm starting to have some better luck with that stuff. But that, and I'm really trying to work on my bottom game right now. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I will do like my most of my game is based on crushing you and the opportunities that arise from that. And so I've really been in the past month or so pushing towards trying to build a bottom game that doesn't involve sweeping and coming up on top and where I'm actually being more offensive from the bottom.
Exact same thing for me. Got my black belt a year ago, and for 6, 8 years, I've been emphasizing half guard. Last 2 years have been emphasizing half butterfly, butterfly, and deep half. This year, I got to do collar sleeve. I got to like attack and finish people on the guard instead of sweeping to get on top. So we're doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because I'm just getting my ass handed to me while I try and do these things that I'm not good at, but
Mm,
it's part of the game.
right. That's right. I think it was Josh Saunders. I think he was saying that there's people that explore and try stuff they're not good at that get better versus people that just do their their A game. And yeah, it's boring. I mean, you got to open up, especially from blue to purple. You got to get offensive. You got to find some what spider guard or you know start hitting those offensive combinations and having fun with that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Thanks, Zach. You're my first interview here on the Uncle Wristlock podcast. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me.
All right. So how can people connect with you? Like what's next for you? Jujitsu wise, but also just with the other parts of your life.
My big thing, I am working on a book, and you can find out about that or keep up with that on my website at zachtidwell.net. And I can send you the link to that. And then my podcast actually released the first episode today, and that is called Going In Blind with Zach Tidwell. And it is available anywhere that you can find podcasts. So YouTube and all the podcasting apps.
Amazing. All right, Zach. We'll see you there.
All right. Thanks.